Joining me now to discuss, the co-author of that report, New York Times education reporter Dana Goldstein. Also with us, former Education Secretary John King. He served in the Obama administration, and he is now a Democrat running for governor of the state of Maryland. Dana, how are 20% of kindergartners in all of these areas not enrolled in any school? What in the world is going on?
Yeah, we found a few reasons why kindergartners did not attend remote or in person this year. One was that remote education was just not viable for essential workers that needed childcare for their children. So they may have left their kids with a grandparent. Maybe that person didn't have the technical know-how to do the remote lessons, or maybe they didn't speak English. Many parents dropped their kids off at daycare centers that didn't have the staffing to take kids through remote lessons. And one of the interesting findings of our investigation was that a lot of parents, they didn't trust their local public schools to do a good job with remote education. So they may have done virtual learning from home, but say through a for-profit virtual program of some sort. Unfortunately, historically, those have not had good academic results for kids.
Wow. John, these kids lost a year of school at the most critical point in their education. And I'm talking, yes, these kindergartners, but we also saw it in middle school and high school. How do we make up for that?
Well, we really need an all-hands-on-deck strategy to get kids back in class. The good news is the American Rescue Plan dedicated nearly $130 billion to K-12 to help with COVID recovery. So what we want to do is do everything possible to make sure families feel trust and a willingness to return to school. In Austin, Texas, the superintendent is literally going door to door, knocking on doors, talking with families about why they should return. The Cleveland School District hired a set of parent ambassadors to help parents feel comfortable with the return to school. And then we've got to provide a ton of academic support. We really need to mobilize a national tutoring corps to provide intensive academic support to help kids catch up. And we've got to pay attention to socio-emotional needs. We've got to have mental health services and counselors to work with supporting kids and their families.
Dana, you cover education. Do you see those big dollars that were allocated to this? Do you actually see them being put to work, right? It's, oh, yes, great, we've allocated this money, but we don't actually know where it's going specifically.
We're starting to see how it's being used. Many districts used it over the summer for summer learning programs. Those were great for the kids that attended them. Unfortunately, what I found is that those kids that were attending those summer learning programs were very often not the ones that missed out on the last year. So that's something to watch. Another sort of unfortunate finding of our reporting is that many of the kids who did not enroll in kindergarten are also not coming back to first grade. So it's really important to sort of locate where they are, what remaining concerns their parents have. Unfortunately, this politicization over masking, for example, in schools is dissuading some families from going back to in-person education, even though that is what they prefer, because they still do fear the virus, especially with the Delta variant surging.
Okay, but let's stay on that, John, because the pandemic and this loss of learning are two gargantuan issues that we need to solve for. Yet you've got states like Florida now saying, if your school has a mask mandate and your kid feels bullied into wearing a mask, we're going to give you a voucher for private school on the government's dime. Do we really have that kind of money to throw around?
No, absolutely not. I mean, Governor DeSantis is incredibly reckless and irresponsible, and what he's doing is dangerous. He's actually threatening educators that if they have a mask requirement to keep their kids safe, he's going to penalize them financially. It's madness. What we need to do is have responsible leadership. I think about Governor Pritzker in Illinois, who said statewide, we're going to have masks in schools because we know that's going to help kids be safe. We need our teachers to get vaccinated. We know what the steps are to make schools safer. We need testing, regular COVID testing to make sure we catch any outbreaks. We know what we need to do, and then that will help us keep school open, which is better for kids.
Then should the education secretary mandate universal masks and vaccines for teachers? John?
Well, the challenge is we have a federal system where the power is with states. And so what you see Secretary Cardona doing is trying to talk to governors, trying to persuade them to lead on this issue. Unfortunately, in some red states, we see governors making quite dangerous choices. On the other hand, you see governors like Asa Hutchinson, who in Arkansas, who's now saying he deeply regrets signing a law banning masks because he realizes that's bad for kids and families.
Okay, you've got governors, but you've also got teachers' unions. Randi Weingarten says it's so important to get vaccinated, but she is not supporting a vaccine mandate. She told me her teachers' union just dropped $5 million on a campaign to get teachers excited about vaccines. Why is that even necessary? $5 million, that's a lot of money. Teachers could actually use that money.
There's no question we need teachers to get vaccinated. The good news is over 90% of teachers within the AFT have been vaccinated. But I think everyone understands that the safe thing to do for kids, for families, is for teachers to be vaccinated. Just as you were talking with the CEO of United Airlines, I think we're going to see more and more employers making clear to their employees that they need to be vaccinated for the safety of themselves as well as their customers.